my opinion, could change 24 hours from now. So hard to predict. I think you're doing yourself and the organization a disservice if you're not looking at what's else out there. But again, I felt like this is the strongest 53 we've had from top to bottom. And so we if our roster stands pat as it is, we'll be very happy with that.
I think this is your youngest. I'm pretty sure this is your youngest roster. Does it feel like that, or is it something that kind of injects you a little bit, or how do you see that?
Yeah, I think we got real young talent. I think as your roster gets more expensive, it also gets younger in some areas as well. That's just the nature of the NFL and how it unfolds. But at the same time, I think that Duke has done a great job with the draft. It's all these guys we've drafted over these last couple of years feel like they're playing key roles for us, whether they're starters or depth players or featured on special teams. And so, it does speak to the young talent that we have, and that we're really impressed by a lot of those guys.
Zach, you have 2 practices this week before you get into game week next week. What will your emphasis be with these 2 practices before the team breaks for the weekend?
A mixture of things. There's a whole mixture of things. You start to preview Cleveland and get ready for that. You start to continue to fine tune some things that you're going to need over the course of the season. So there's a couple different things that we'll be hitting on these next couple of days.
Anything else for Zach?
Do you look at these last few practices as an extended part of game week, or is there a defined line between this is the end of preseason stuff and now it's game week once you get into that week?
It's a good question. I think we owe it to ourselves to start to preview Cleveland to be ready for that. At the same time, you can over prepare. It's when you're putting together 6 practices on a team, it can start to feel like a lot. So you want to keep the game week fresh for the guys, to keep their attention, keep their focus on Cleveland. So there's some things that we'll blatantly introduce. There's some things we'll subtly introduce, and then there'll be some things that we're just revisiting over training camp that we'll want to be able to pull out, in the first 5-7 weeks of the season, that maybe we didn't hit as much in training camp as we're going to need once the season goes.